There's no one here. Welcome, whoever is showing up. This is a kickoff something. We're not quite sure. There's a show that that Ray. Wait, where's Ray? Jenny's there's Ray
Hey, oh, good morning, everybody.
and Jenny and myself, of course. And so they want to do a show. Well, we are doing it, but they're going to do a show. I believe
Yep.
they want to do it Sundays at mornings, like we are right now. This beautiful gathering. And so we thought we'd kick it off with this on my show. And Jenny was thought that she wanted to talk about the book of Job, which is one of my favorites. So for anyone in the audience that wants to play along, we'll have our
Can
Bible.
I just say something? And
Go right ahead.
I don't want to look. I don't want people to laugh at me. But I think they're all going to laugh at me. But I always thought it was the book of Job, and I always my whole life I called it the book of Job. So I have a few questions here. Why is it pronounced Job? And who is Job, or was
Ooh.
Job? Before we even get started with this, because
Yeah.
I need to understand what's going on. And really, just in a nutshell, you don't have to get too deep into it.
Well, I don't know why it's pronounced that. I can't help you there. I originally
Is
because
it a Hebrew thing?
well, maybe it could be translations or pronunciations, Hebrews or whatever. Because again, when I never read the Bible either until just whatever so many years ago, and I thought it was Job beginning too. So because that's how its job is spelled. And when isn't it interesting? Maybe there's some correlation there. Why do they call it a job? Because Job goes through quite some uh, uh, interesting times, let's say, and jobs can do that to you too and beat you down and stuff. So maybe.
So he was one of the disciples, obviously, right?
No, what he was someone that was basically perfect in God's eyes. He no matter what happened, he praised God and loved God, and it was one of the most difficult books for me when I started reading the Bible because for me it's literally like that.
Bless you. By the way,
Oh, that was a cough, but I'll save that later in case I sneeze. And and there was the trouble for me with Job is it's like that movie Trading Places. You've seen that, I'm assuming most people have, and
mm-hmm.
that's the one where Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd they switched places. Dan Aykroyd was rich and Eddie Murphy was poor, and these really rich dudes they what's that noise? These really rich dudes they thanks Jenny. They make a bet for like $1 and to see what would happen if these two trade places and what happens. And
Mm-hmm.
so I look at it the same way when I read the book of Job was that it starts out where God and Satan comes walking by. And because that's the thing, Satan doesn't have the powers of God. He has to travel around and he needs minions and these machines to be able to see around the world, earth, whatever. And so he shows up and God's like, so what's up? And Satan, uh, they start talking and God says, well, look at Job. He's like perfect. He loves me and this, that, and the other. And Job was an incredibly rich man. He had many children. He had lots of livestock. He had tons of wealth. He was one of the wealthiest people, I guess, at the time. And Satan says, well, of course he loves you. He's got everything he needs. If you take it away, he'll curse you.
Mm-hmm.
And so God's like, well, I'll prove you wrong. We'll go ahead. And so what he does is God doesn't do things to Job. See, that's where I think you even said, Jenny, why do bad things happen to good people? It's not God that is doing these things. What happens is, like through our free will, even we allow him to let go of us. And so God releases his grasp on Job and tells the devil that you're allowed, he's in your hands. You can't kill him, but you can do anything else. And so he starts off by they're having some feast or wedding or whatever. And I think like a lot of the livestock, all his livestock die. And Job's like, well, that sucks, but he's okay. And then there's some big ceremony and like all his children are there and they all die. And I mean, it's really getting bad. And so he's lost everything. He lost all his kids. And then and his wife starts giving him a hard time because she's saying, obviously you're not this God fearing righteous man that you say you are, because why would God be doing this to you?
As
And
they usually do say to us. But anyway, go ahead.
and then he gets covered in sores because he's still not what do you call it, rebuking God.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's one of the things. Let me find it. There's a line in there that's like his famous line, and it got Mandela affected. It's pretty trippy. Hang on a second. I'm typing. Oh Lord.
His wife actually said to him that he should curse God already and die already.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he rebuked her for that too.
And it's Job. Here it is. One here. I'll bring it up. Okay, so this one was trippy to me because it's like one of the most famous sayings. And at one point, Job is just like, "Well, this stuff was here, and now it's all gone. And since it all came from God, what I remember him saying, the most famous saying, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away."
Mm-hmm.
And now it's in past tense. See, it says that Job arose, rent his mantle, shaved his head, fell upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, "Naked I came out of my mother's womb, naked I shall return thither. The Lord gave," past
No.
tense, "and the
No.
Lord hath taken," past
No.
tense.
No. No.
Isn't that
No.
weird?
It wasn't like that because you know why? Why would we even know the word giveth or taketh at all? Like
Exactly.
I know it from that verse, and
Yeah.
it's in a lot of rap songs that I know too. They still say giveth, the Lord taketh. So, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
And so, and that's where I tell people, look, I know that the Bible's being changed supernaturally, man, whatever you want to call it. And then I also know that KJV has been altered and over the, I get it. But you can still find the meanings. Like this passage, I can still read and understand the parables and the teachings behind it, even though this line has changed. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so then even then he's still like not forsaking God. And so then what happens is his three friends show up. And that's actually, it's funny, that's that thumbnail that's
What
behind it.
chapter and verse did you say that was?
That's Job 121.
All right.
Yeah. In the I read the KJV, and that's the one.
I'm in the
I
KJV.
usually have that one too, but I don't know where that one's located at the moment. So that's why I grabbed
That's
this
fine.
one.
I'm just curious if it's changed in the other ones. I don't know. I just know it's in the KJV.
Here's mine.
And what's crazy is, like this book, this was this freaking old antique book that someone gave me. It's from the 1800s. This giant Bible, and
Yeah,
it's
this one's changed too. This one says past tense.
and the same with this from the
This one.
1800s.
Where are you at?
Isn't that weird? Because giveth and taketh sounds like he can continue to do that, and hath taken and have given is over. It's already happened. So
Yeah, it says here, the Lord gave and the Lord hath taken away.
yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Tongues.
Well, Logan just handed me this really old one. I'm about to check it and see if this one's changed.
Let me check the
Yeah,
new
you
American
can check any one
one.
you want, because, like I said, mine here is from the 1800s, and it's changed.
This one's different. This one's weird. This one says dome instead of firmament in Genesis. But
Yeah, this one does too.
all right, so we're on. Which is yours? The New American Bible? Is that what yours is?
No, mine's the complete Jewish Bible.
All right, fair enough.
Well, I'll keep going. So basically,
Yeah.
so Job's friends show up, and the three of them commiserate with him, and they try to explain to him why these things are happening. And at the end of the day, even Job's trying to question why it's happening and understand it. And then finally, God speaks to them and tells them what's going on. And so that's basically in the nutshell the book. And then at the end, spoiler alert, God fills him back in with double of everything. And he gets all new children,
That's
And,
what usually happens, though. That's what usually happens.
Yeah, this one's changed too.
The Lord. This one says the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
this
past
one does
tense.
too.
That's weird, huh?
They all do apparently.
I mean, the people that think the Mandela effect isn't a thing, like you said, how would I even know the line "the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh" if he never said it? You know what I mean? It's unexplainable.
That's two different Bibles. This one, a Muslim family gave me one day. Just handed it to me out the car window. It was like, "Hey, do you want this?" It was brand new. I was like, "Yeah." It was still in the package. I was like, "Definitely." It was open to the full armor of God. And then this one, Ephesians chicks, and then this one's Michelle's that she got from the church, directly from the church, the Catholic Church, St. Anthony's, when she was whatever they call that. I'm not doing it. I want to be baptized in a Christian baptism eventually. We'll do it. We'll get it done.
Right? I mean, I haven't done that either.
It's on my bucket list. Me and ceilingfanman are doing it together. We're getting a hotel room.
Am I flying out there? Are you coming out here? What are we doing here? That's funny.
Ray's coming here.
I guess Ray's coming here.
Yeah. Nancy's gonna fly me there. No, nobody's flying anyone. Nancy's gonna get me there.
They'll send you in Santiago's private plane, right?
Yeah.
Well, me and Logan want to come out there too. We could take the train. We could take the train, or we could fly. Either way.
Maybe if there's enough room, we could all meet up there.
Sure, let's just have a gigantic baptismal.
Oh, by the way, this one right here is comparable to the 1611.
What's that?
This one's comparable to the 1611. I was just looking at the inside, but it doesn't have the extra books in it. But it is still comparable, because like right here it says it, but it says it right in there. But I think he said this one was from like the 1800s, though. It was printed or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What year?
I like
mine's not that old.
1870 something.
Yeah.
How old is he? No, I'm just
It was handed down to him.
Sure it was. Yeah, it's his. Yeah.
I guess it's a family Bible.
Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. Yeah, he's
just tell him to let us know on the secret of how he's been living so long. We all need to know.
Let's have an interview with, what is it called? Interview with
He's Wolverine, that's why. You know, Wolverine was born in the 1800s.
He does look like Wolverine. And his name's Logan.
Well, he's got the same name as Wolverine, Logan.
Yeah.
So
there you go. He's not the vampire; he's a werewolf. That's cool.
No. Wolverine's the one with the claw, with the metal.
He's one of the X-Men.
Yeah. Okay, this is a great Bible study. I love it. So,
gotta have a little humor thrown in there every once in a while.
The way I roll. Oh, I see Juan is here. Good to see you. And Gary. Yeah, what are we doing up so early, Gary? I don't know. Here we go. Juan. Oh, look at this. We woke up Rice Crispy. Good to see it.
Thank you, Rice Crispy.
Thank you. 1776. And Brian is here. He decided to take time from that show where everyone yells at each other. Good to see you, Brian. And Mr. Super Sidewinder taking a Christian out. I'm not even sure what's going on there. And what else we have here? They're always talking about hot tubs. A dog named Boo is here. Woof. And Andrew. Jesus preaches this: if you leave your life to follow. Yes. And he also says, if you do that, prepare to be people like persecute you and be jealous of you and angry and all that stuff. So we got that to look forward to.
Yes, we do.
Zeus Scott is here.
Well, I'm already going through that, so I've been going through that for years, so
I'm used to it.
Nothing new to me.
I can take the heat.
All right, I think I checked in with most of them.
Like they say, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
So Job. So what are we getting into about this book of Job?
Well, again, this is you guys want to do a Bible study show. Yeah. So I'm not sure how it's going to run.
Ray's curious.
Yeah. And you want to talk about Job, so however you want to get into it, I'll tell you what, I'll fill up my coffee again and then we'll start.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a Nancy. Get me a coffee.
So I'm about half down on my cup, so I'm gonna get a refill too.
Did you hear?
I don't like to let mine get below half. It gets below half, and then I gotta get more. I get it. Yeah.
I just get to hold mine up in the air and it gets filled.
Yeah. So I might
Yeah,
even
we
still
could
have.
go that way.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I still have some.
Ready? No, I'm afraid it's going to get poured on my head. Thank you, honey.
Oh,
Oh, and thank you. Look at this, Andrew. Very nice. Where your treasure is, there's your heart will be also. Like it. That's a good
Yes.
question.
Shout out to Andrew. He has his own channel.
He does?
He reads scripture. If you go to his
nice.
channel, every video is him reading scripture almost every video. And he does a few other things too. But he's a drummer. He's a drummer, and he's gonna help us with the show in coming weeks because he knows so much about. He reads it.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
He studies it. So.
And he's what, a drummer? You said?
A drummer. Yeah.
Maybe you and him come up with your theme song for this show because we didn't have anything.
We will. We'll come up with some stuff. We've been talking. Yeah.
And I was even thinking you could make a shirt. You know, I called this Bible Curious because there's people that haven't read the Bible, and so, but you could make it so the "by" is large and then "bull" is small and then "curious," right? You like it?
Maybe.
Like Jeff Gray, he has the sign.
Yeah, I have no idea what to call the show yet, but we'll figure it. It'll come to me.
And yeah, Juan, this is the oldest book they say, so that's really cool.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
that is really cool.
Yeah.
So that was the first book that they. Well, but there's missing books though, right? What do you think about the missing books, the ones that aren't canonized?
Well, I look into those too, like Dead Sea Scrolls and all those other ones, the Apothecary or whatever.
Yeah.
Enoch. In fact, they're in this Bible that I have.
Jasher.
Yeah, and
I have some of those books too.
I read the first book of Enoch. I read the first book of Enoch, and I'm reading. What's the other one? Is it Jasher or the other one? There's another one with a J. But I don't
Jubilees.
know. There's fascinating reading. And
I have Jasher and Jubilees.
You do?
I haven't heard about them.
I
haven't heard about them until I got into this community. So for me, it was like a shock. I was like, when I first heard about it, I was like, what are these people reading different books? Like, what's going on? Like,
and there's some people that don't want to hear about them or read them. And
Well, the original 1611 KJV had 14 extra books in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I know.
It had like 80 books, I think.
I heard that there was over
80.
I heard that there was over 200 books in the original Bible, and now there's down to 66. So
yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to that, but I know that the 1611 KJV originally had 80 books. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I can look and see how many mine has in it, but that's the thing is, I'll look for truth in anything, and just because someone tells me it wasn't part of the Bible, I'll still read it because there are times in the Bible it references, like Jesus references, or God does the references, the books of Jasher and the books of Enoch. So I'll look into it. I haven't read more than the first book of Enoch. Some people say that there's others, but I haven't.
Yeah, I would not look into the second and third Enoch because I've heard that those are not like, those ones are like false Enochs or something like that, is what I've heard.
And it's not, I mean, I
also think it's funny that they narrowed the Bible down to 66 books now. Of course. I mean, think about it, 66. That's a Masonic number.
Yep.
Also, I was looking on how people would falsify things like this, and like not the Bible, but just ancient scriptures in general. And they were saying like they would be like one Mason who would reference a book like 1,000 years before and hide it in a certain place. He would reference a book that someone else was going to write 1,000 years later, and then that person would write that book and hide it. And then like he would reference another book that referenced that book and the next book that, so that when everybody finds them, they found them in these wells, like conveniently like next to these pipes, like where they said they were going to be. And then like all the books connect because like they did it. It's like a big puzzle they did, you know? But it is interesting.
And Scotty, this is live. We're just barely awake because it's early. So, um, but yeah, and for people that haven't read the Bible, because like I said, I growing up Jewish, I was never reading the Bible until just a few years ago. I had no idea. You guys know probably, but most people, the basic books, but all the other books, like I didn't know there was Hosea. I didn't know there was Obadiah,
Obadiah.
Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai,
Yeah.
Zechariah. I mean, there's
Zechariah.
names that I didn't know existed in the Bible.
Timothy.
Passages. Yeah, Timothy.
It's like 3 pages. It's like
Yeah.
it's a few pages.
Yeah. So
It's easy. Read it. Timothy. Read the book of Timothy. It's like 4 pages long.
So what I would say to people that if you haven't picked up the Bible, because the main reason we're doing this is these are the times that everyone's waiting for the Antichrist spirit to show up, which it's happening. Look around. But at the same time, in the end times, God's spirit will be poured out. And so there has to be his voice. And so these shows, like the ones I do and this one that we're doing here, it's to show that other side. There's so many channels that'll tell you, don't bother with this book. It's nonsense. And yet, as a truther, I don't see how you do that, because it's the only book I know to this day that has had prophecies fulfilled, multiple prophecies fulfilled, and they're being fulfilled in front of our eyes. And how you could ignore that is mind-boggling to me.
No matter what truth you follow, no matter what truth you look into, no matter what community you're in, it always brings you back to this book.
Absolutely. And that's how I got into it. When I started looking into anything, Mandela effects or flat earth or anything, it always ended up God and Satan and that kind of thing, good and evil.
That's why they call God the truth with a capital T.
Right. Exactly. And so what I encourage people, if you haven't read the Bible, first of all, the stories are fascinating. They're fun. And if you have trouble reading it in like the Old English or whatever this is, the KJV old writings, like Shakespearean, then go with, I would say, NIV. It's the kind of the next step, I would think, because each one you do, they lose more in the translations, but it's an easier read one to read it. But the stories are fascinating, and Jesus always talks in parables. Why? Because we're supposed to learn from it. Because if someone just tells you, go take this and put it over there, but you don't know why you're doing it, you might not, continue in the proper way. And so what he does is he teaches you why this is happening. And this book of Job, one of the things it does.
Can I comment about the parables?
Yeah,
go ahead.
The reason the book of Job I think is so important is if we say that if we forget history, we're destined to repeat it. And so all these terrible things happen to this man as a testimony for us to understand how to live our lives properly and how you get God's blessings. And there you go. What's up, Ray?
Okay, so before I forget, the parable thing, right? So, they knew when the disciples wrote this book, they knew that it was going to be changed over time, right? But they didn't want the message to be changed. So they wrote it in parables on purpose, because it's almost like riddles, and it's harder to change the message if it's written in parables. That's why I think they wrote it in parables, so that the message wouldn't be changed over a long period of time.
I truly believe that, because for whatever reason, these rules that we live in, the devil's allowed to change things, obviously, but there's certain things he can't seem to manipulate. Like he can't destroy the word of God. He can mess around with the book, but it's still in there. And the other thing it seems to be is that he what do you call it? I totally forgot where I was going with this. You were talking about how
over long periods of time, how they're going to change.
It seems like the only other truths you can find are in old maps, right?
Yeah, old maps, and they're like the real obscure ones that they didn't expect us to look at.
And you know what's wild?
I think there's multiple reasons why the things were written in parables, because I think one other reason is because of what Jesus said, because when he was asked directly why he was speaking in parables, he said that there was those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, and then those who don't. And so the message was intended for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and those people who do would understand the message, but those who don't would misunderstand it.
And also, in addition to that, Jenny, I agree, because you have to meet as God halfway, right? He can't just do it for you. He comes to the door and knocks. You have to open it. So you have to actually seek out the information. You have to actually take time to read it and understand it. And that's part of that thing. Same thing too. You have to have a hunger for your relationship, and that's what he wants you to do. And you have to search for the words. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a desire to want to, you have to have a desire for it.
Yeah. What's that, Ray?
I started doing this thing, praying every day, like in the morning, when the sun comes up. I always say the Lord's Prayer, and then at night I always thank God for everything that I have for the whole day. And the more you do it, the closer you start noticing little signs and little synchronicities in your life every day, and like you get closer and closer. Then you get closer and closer to God. But if you don't talk to him, you don't open up, then you're gonna get further and further away. That's what I noticed anyway for me.
No, I agree. I totally agree. So
like open the Bible every once in a while. Like I have a few, but I do. I have a whole bunch of them.
Part of for me was when I was starting to do this. If I'm working outside or if I'm driving in the car, you can play these Bible apps that you can listen to them free, and so that's the way you can read it without having to take the extra time if you don't find time to do it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, none of us are supposed to be.
No, but like, sometimes there's times when I'm just like, it's just too much for me, and I need to like relax and listen to music or do something else. But there's other times when I find like great comfort in reading the Bible. Sometimes I'll just open to a random page and just start reading, and I get I'll get a message, and I'll be like, whoa. I was supposed to.
I'll do that too. If I'm having trouble with something, I'll look in there and it'll usually come up with the answers I'm looking for.
In my NIV, it has a thing in the back that says finding help in the Bible. And it has like all this whole list of all these different situations that could happen to you. And it tells you what page to go to.
That's cool.
What verses and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's nice.
It's a good one. Yeah.
And I find a lot of comfort in Psalms. There's so many of them, and there's usually something that'll help you in there. So Buck Big Bear wrote this, or didn't write it. He's quoting Acts. God did this so they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far away from any one of us. Do I have that thing? Here he is.
That's very true.
I have those guys. I have this one too.
Oh, yeah? Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding.
We're on a mission from God.
My Bible says we don't give you complete without pre-rolls. So, okay. So
Faye said they read Proverbs and Psalms at dinner. Her and Joe. Hi, Faye. Good morning.
Nice. Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's see. What do you want to do? I mean, do you want to read this? Do you want to just talk about it? Is there certain parts you wanted to go over, Jenny? What are you thinking? I'm kind of
I kind of wanted to address the question that's been going around. A lot of people throw it out there, like about like if God is so good and everything, why does he allow his children to suffer? Why does he allow people to suffer in general? And why does he allow it to continue? Why doesn't he stop it? And I just think that Job really like answers that really well. And I kind of like, to be honest, I'm kind of like been like having that question play in my head too. Like I know, but like it's still, that question still circulates in my head. It's like, it's almost like sometimes I feel like I have Job's friends like talking in my ear, questioning me, like, what's the word? Interrogating me like they did him, that's how I feel. because like I feel like Job and a lot of times because like so much like I
Yeah,
don't know, it's kind of like
I know what
Murphy's
you're
law,
saying.
everything that can happen will happen, like sort of
Everything
thing. But
happens
it's like
to you.
there's
Yeah,
just so much
everything.
so much stuff keeps coming at me and
But look at what
it's
happened now.
overwhelming.
Everything worked out for the good in the end, right? That
Yeah.
right now you're
Well, I
doing
mean, I still have problems. I still have problems.
But I read
Um,
on my show the other night. There's a thing that says that if you're suffering in these end times, well, don't forget we're supposed to experience everything Jesus did if we're following His righteous path. And so, if you are suffering, you're supposed to. It's a weird thought. You're supposed to rejoice in it because it means that you're doing the right thing, and God will be there for you, and will go to this righteous end. So, it's so hard to in real life use these ideas that wait, I'm suffering but that's a good thing, you know what I mean? It's just like
Mhm.
it's so hard to get on that other side of it, but I'm learning because think about this. When I woke up to the times that we're in and I'm like, holy shit, the Bible's real, Jesus and all in God, it's all real, and we're in end times. And I was just like, hey, can I go back to sleep? Can you just, I want out. I don't want to deal with this. I mean, it's like you guys, I don't know how you felt, but it freaked me out and I was really
Yeah, me
upset.
too.
I'm like, why me? You know, it's the whole Job, why kind of thing. And then the longer I spent time in this and my walk with God and reading and so forth, and times with everyone on the screen and stuff, I ended up starting to get to this idea is that, like I said the other night, when for a baby, it takes 9 months. I mean, you know, you can have it earlier or later, but basically it's made for 9 months. And you have to go through this really horrible labor and delivery process, very painful. And then you have this amazing, wonderful bundle of joy, child that you love and cherish the rest of your life. And it goes on for both of your lives.
Mhm.
And so I correlated that to what we're experiencing because God always talks about these times as like a woman in travail. And so, if the tribulation period that we're coming up to, which is terrifying, but we have to go through it. And so, rather than focus on the labor part of the birth, I'm focusing on what happens after because, according to the scriptures, in a blink of an eye, we'll forget all the pain, suffering, all that stuff. So, yeah, our loved ones and we are going to be going through something we don't know, but it sounds pretty terrifying. But if you remember this, Revelation doesn't kick off until Jesus opens all the seals. And so it's not like God's checked out. You know, they want to tell you that God's not around, he doesn't care, things are happening and he's not. No, this is part of the process. Some of us have already found God and we got our relationship, but there's a lot of us, the loved ones, that are completely clueless and asleep to this. And so, like anyone else, if you want to wake them, you can do it gently, but maybe they don't wake up. You could shake them vigorously, and maybe they still don't wake up. Maybe you got to throw water and slap their face a bit. And so, I feel that the troubles that have to come, just like the birth, we have to go through it because some of our loved ones are not awake to this. And as they say, there's no atheists in foxholes. I don't believe that people will wake up to the existence of God unless they get shaken out of their little safety net that they live in now, which is a complete lie. And so that's the way I see it.
you know, another verse came to my mind, and I can't
Really
remember
loud.
where it's at.
Can you turn your mic down just a bit or something?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was kind of getting a little loud there. I apologize. But
You are. You're loud. You're hurting my ears, and I have a really
okay, is it better
sensitive
now?
ear. I have really sensitive ear, and
Okay, is it
I don't want any hearing damage from this. Please, Nancy,
is it better now?
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Okay. Okay, but I don't remember where it's at and what verse, but I'm going to be paraphrasing it, but basically it said that those who are wanting to live for this world and in this world, they have their reward right now. But those who are suffering, who are in Jesus, that we will have our reward in heaven, where and what's in heaven doesn't corrupt. What's on earth corrupts.
Yeah.
It's what's on earth is temporary. What's in heaven is eternal.
Right.
So
And so the
would
thing
we
is,
rather be rewarded eternally or temporarily?
and the people that have made a connection to God and have made that relationship, they feel it and they understand it. That's why God says it changes your heart. Is yes, I'm still here with everyone, and I'm going to be dealing with the issues of daily life and the struggles that I have to go through. But I know that there's something more after this. And so, like you say, build up your treasures in heaven and do things here for the good of other people. And God will watch that and notice that. That's all you got to do. Um, so, and someone had a question over on Rockfin because we're simulcasting. And let's see, Hempcar, good to see you over there. And it says, let's see, yeah, he's 66 books. He said, I was told there's 613 commandments that Yahweh gave to the Israelites. Don't cut your hair under your ears, sacrifice
Good
doves.
question.
I don't know about all these different things that they say. Don't braid your hair at all. I don't follow those things. I'm not sure about it. Some laws by man potentially have been changed or added. I don't understand that. I do believe that if you're practicing the teachings and you're being as righteous as you can, um I don't think God's gonna be like, wait a minute, you cut your hair last Thursday, you can't get in. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't understand where that falls as far as like what is terrible and what isn't. So as far as cutting my hair or cutting my beard, I do it when it annoys me. So
This
but
is my understanding of the 613. This is the way I was told. And by reading it as well, because I mean I started reading in my Bible like when I was like 10 years old, and I started in Genesis and just kind of worked my way through. Well, my understanding is that not all the 613 are for every single person. You've got some laws that are for specifically for men, some specifically for the priests and the Levites, some for farmers, some for women. And you have different laws for different people, right?
mhm,
So not all the laws are for every person.
correct.
Because, like, for example, the Shemitah would only be applicable to women who haven't yet gone through menopause. Clearly. But
And the other thing too is if you get into the scriptures, eventually it says that once God's changed your heart, you don't need. I mean, again, you don't need the 10 Commandments, the laws of Moses, because you just do them.
it's
And
written on your heart.
right, and he says the laws of Moses are for the sinners, for the people that haven't figured it out yet. So that's the way I look
Yeah.
at it now.
Yeah, and
Because
Jesus came to he came to write it on our hearts. If it's written on our hearts, it will just be natural for us to want to do what's right in the eyes of God.
there's a
And those
part in the
things that are
scriptures that
wrong, we will not want to do those things. It will be abhorrent to us.
well, the thing is that the two things I'm most afraid of now is disappointing God or my wife, and if I can figure those two things out, then I'm fine. And so that's the thing. You don't need the book once you've changed your heart. You just want to do things just because it's the right thing, and you
Yeah,
have
it
no.
will be natural. It'll be a natural inclination because like things that are like abhorrent to God will be it will feel abhorrent to us if it's written on our heart. And those things that are righteous in the eyes of God, we will want to do those things. We'll
And
desire to do those things.
we talked about this a minute ago, Mesa. It's Job 121, and it was the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, and now it's past tense. It's been
Yes. Yes.
been supernaturally changed. The Lord hath given and hath taken away. So it's over. Yeah. So yeah.
We already won. We already won.
And Ray says, "Boom, baby."
Boom, baby.
Nancy, Nancy, I'm out of
Nancy.
coffee again.
I know.
I'm
I know.
plowing through
I
this
need to. I
shit.
need to get a coffee too. But
Wow.
so
And we're only 30 minutes or an hour into what are we into this show? But anyways, yes. Um okay, where are we at here? Let's see. Let's see. And I'm not sure the different I don't where is it? this person's saying that you're mixing Kabbalah with Christianity. So I'm not sure. I don't follow Kabbalah. I know of it.
Yeah, I don't know what Kabbalah is.
But it
Whatever.
possibly,
You're not.
I don't know if they
What you know what Kabbalah is? Explain it, Jenny. What's going on? What are they trying to
Kabbalah? No.
I'm not sure.
say? I don't know.
I'm not
I don't
big on
know
that.
I don't
can't
understand where
translate that
that's
one.
coming from, but like I don't understand where they think I'm mixing Kabbalah in there, but I don't agree with Kabbalah at all. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, all those other books and the teachings of the fake people over there in that one area of country that we can't talk about. That's the things I don't get. Like, I'll never grow that. Like,
Maybe it's because a lot of times when I'm trying to explain stuff, not everybody understands what I'm trying to say because things don't always. I can't always get things out the way that I
I'm
mean
reading
to.
from the KJV, which is the Christian Bible, but I'm also reading from the New American Bible. But I was baptized Catholic, and he's Jewish, so you know what I mean.
I was raised Catholic until I was raised Catholic until I was 13, and then and I've went through different denominations and stuff. So yeah, there's some stuff that's kind of like I'm still working through a lot of stuff.
What I'm trying to say is it's a spiritual show. It's a spiritual show. It's
I'm not perfect.
It's Christian.
And so I might say things wrong, but I don't mean
Christian Bible, and we believe in Christ Jesus.
And I also think this. It's like take the Freemasons. They took over, or the evil part took over what the Freemasons were, and took their hand signals and all their secret things and turned it into this whatever it is that they use it for now, evil purposes. So the Kabbalah most likely took the teachings and they messed with them and altered them to their preferences. So there's going to be similarities maybe in the speech of what we're talking about.
They said Kabbalah is Masonic teaching. So, but
we're not doing that.
No,
if you deal with Masonic teachings, Kabbalah, Satanism, New Age, which is Satanism, if it deals with any of that stuff, magic, crystals, tarot, it ain't happening on these shows.
Not here.
Not here.
You might have got us mixed up with a different show.
Yeah, there's other ones going on that cover that.
I might say things wrong sometimes. I don't mean to. Okay, like I'm trying to figure out what is the truth about everything. Like I want to know what is actually the truth. What God says is actually the truth, not what some men say is actually the truth. And I'm still trying to learn that. It's still a process. Like I'm coming out of a lot of mixed up stuff, like I was raised Catholic until I was 13. And then I went to various other denominations, Messianic Judaism, Hebrew roots that I came out of, all kind of stuff, it's confusing. It's all confusing, but the author of confusion is Satan, not God. So, but I'm trying to get understanding from God, as to what the truth is. So yeah, some things might come out of my mouth that might sound some kind of way, but I don't mean that, because our language is corrupted too. So sometimes it's hard to know the right words to say. And so it might sound some kind of way. And what am I supposed to do?
Everything we talk about in these shows is our interpretations, trying to figure out live on air, because in the end of the day,
there are no experts.
There aren't.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you studied the Bible for 30 years or 2 years or whatever. We can all learn from it, and all we have to do is just open up our minds to it and talk to God, and it comes through. You want to learn anything, what's going on, the answers are in this book. It's so fascinating. I can find all kinds of answers in here that I can't find in any other book.
Yeah. So the book of Job. So is there anything else we're going to cover about this book?
Well, let's see. Let me bring up let's see.
Keeping it on track, keeping it going.
Yeah, so let's see. Well, okay,
how many pages is this book?
It's a big book. It's not something you can cover in
My main thought on it was and it's kind of something I've been kind of like going over in my head and kind of stewing over my head. Is like we're like Job's going through all this stuff, and his friends, or they're supposed to be his friends, they start interrogating him and being like, well, you must have some hidden sin or something. And there's a lot of people even in the churches nowadays that are like that. It's like, if you're following after God and you're doing everything that Jesus says to do, and you're following him and everything, then you should have nothing but blessings. And all these if you're going through like all this stuff, it's like it's a result of sin. If you're sick, it's because you got sin. If you're going through some kind of hardship, it's because of sin. And it's the same stuff that Job's friends were saying to him. And it was just not true. But there's a lot of that now. And then of course, the question that's been going around, especially I've seen it in the community, people wanting to say, well, how can the Bible be true and how can God be real if he's allowing all this suffering to go on in the world?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
I don't like to think that thought, because to me that's like, I feel like if I'm thinking something like that just I can't think like that, because it's like, I know that God is real, and it's just not natural for me to think like that, because I know that God's real because the fact that I'm here right now talking to y'all, it's like there's no other explanation for it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's one of the hardest parts, is why does God allow this suffering? Mm-hmm. And so that's why this book, I think, is really, really good, because and I also find it funny. It starts off, there was a man in the land of Oz, which is very similar to Oz to me. So all the stories, I think, have been eventually plagiarized from the Bible, it seems, even the Greek mythology and all that, it all connects to this stuff. But so he had 7 sons and daughters. His substance was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camel and 500 yoke of oxen. And it just had, he was the greatest of all the men in the East, it says. And so here it says that there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came amongst them. So the sons of God, that sounds like, what? Angels, fallen ones, kind of thing.
Angels. And sometimes I think the stars might be the watchers too.
Right, because they were the reason that they were put in fixed places, and the 7 things that we call planets, that's talked about. I think it's not in the Bible, it's in the Enoch. And they didn't listen to God. They were rebellious, just like the angels. Mm-hmm. And so that's why they're in that system that they're stuck in, those 7 planets, those are the ones that are talked about. And so, so at this point, God is, it says, Lord says to Satan, where'd you come from? And he says, I'm going to and fro in the earth and up and down in it. So right there, to me, that proves, in my mind, that there's depth to it. The people talk hollow earth. I think it's the area we live on is basically flat, but then the ball falls in because you've got the dome on the top keeping the water out in heaven, and then you got the dome on the bottom, which underneath is shale or whatever you call it, shoal, and hell and all that, and then the water underneath it. And so, because God even says in this book that dead things come from the waters below. So there's a whole society of evilness, I think, living under the water. And so he says, the Lord says to Satan, have you considered my perfect servant Job? There's none like him on earth, perfect and upright. And so he says, well, does Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not made a hedge about him and his house? And so he's saying, look, you gave him everything in total protection. Of course he loves you, But put forth thy hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thy to thy face. And so this is like they said, that's that movie, the Trading Places. They're just making this bet. And so it was like, wow, this is really weird. Why is God messing with this guy's life just to prove a point to Satan? It really troubled me because of that. But like I said, the more you read this, like I read this thing the first time through and I was very troubled. And the second and third time I went through it, it got better and better and I understood more and more. And that's just fascinating to me. You can read the same words and get more out of it each time. And so when he does, he says, and so he said unto Satan, behold, all that he has is in thy power, only upon himself not put forth thy hand. So at this point, he says you can do anything to him, but you can't touch Job. So he can't even get the boils and stuff that he gets later. And so,
yeah,
go ahead.
that's almost like that. No, that's almost like the Cain and Abel thing when they said you can't touch Cain.
Right. Yeah. And so, but see, that's what goes to the point that I was saying, that if God has you in his grip, nobody can pry his hand apart. There's no
He can
one.
make it. God can make you untouchable if you want
Right.
to.
He has to let go. He has to let you go. And we can do that too. He's got us. And then we can have our free will and decide to do something that in our mind or our heart, we think maybe that's not the right thing to do, but I'm going to try it anyways. And at that point, God will go, okay, I'll let you go do your thing and see what happens. And so that's the way I see it. And so he lets go. And then of course
That's so powerful. If you believe in God enough and you believe in the word and you really know and you really believe it, he can make you untouchable. He has the
right,
power
because
to do that.
that's the whole put on the whole armor of God. I mean, if he's around you, then you're good, you know? It's only because we have weak moments in our faith that things can get in. And so he says, so anyways, everything. So like, because here it says, while he was speaking, the fire of God falls from heaven and burns up the sheep and servants. So the fire of God comes down, but Satan's the one that's doing these things. You see, it's all within God's power, but he's allowing it to happen for a reason, you know, and that's where the end of the book of Job, God's like, you guys, you're trying to figure out why I do these things and you can't figure anything out. What makes you think you know why I do these things? And so that's part of the teachings. And so he allows Satan to do this, and all his stuff gets burned up and stuff. All of his camels and everything is gone. And then this is terrible. Behold, there was a great wind of the wilderness, and it smote the four corners of the house, fell upon the young men, and they are dead. So basically, all of his sons and daughters were eating and drinking in one house, and now they're all dead. So he's lost everything and all his children. And that's when he does this famous saying, which has now been, messed up. And he said, naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. That's the way I still see it.
That's the way I remember it, yeah.
And blessed be the name of the Lord. And so, do you see, in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So he just lost everything. And he's still like, well, I didn't have it before. God gave it to me. For some reason, he took it away, and it's his to do. So he doesn't curse him or forsake him.
Yeah. And that just means it's just a lesson. Don't get too caught up in materialistic things. Don't who cares about your possessions? Because one day your whole house could burn up and you could lose everything. And then what? Then when you just over yourself. So,
and then in the Job 3, he starts to then now lament and he's saying, where is it? I mean, he just gets really sad. And where is it? And then he just like starts questioning his life, because like everything he's ever known and had is now gone. All his family, everything is gone. And he basically gets to that point where everybody's felt this. Like, well, why didn't I just die in the womb? Why didn't I give up the ghost when I came out of the belly?
I ask God that every day. No, I'm just joking.
Well, no, but it's like, like, why did I go through all this to end up here? It'd be better if I just wasn't around, basically, is kind of what he says.
Yeah, I get it.
And so his friends have shown up, and they start telling him, well, this is why. And they start telling you, let's see. I pray thee, whoever. Let's see. Let's see. Well, basically, I mean, there's a lot to read in here,
Yeah.
but the three friends basically come over and just say that they think that he's not righteous, and they come up with reasons as to why he did this. And let's see, uh, where is it? Because yeah, each one of the friends has different things, and how long will you speak these things? How long the words of my mouth be like a strong wind? Did God pervert judgment, or did the Almighty pervert justice? If your children have sinned against him, and he has cast them away for the transgression. So now he's saying maybe it's the kids' fault that they died, And then he says, well, if you were pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee and make the habitation of thy righteous prosperous. And though thy beginning was small, yet thy letter should greatly increase. And so basically they start saying, you obviously have been lying to us. You're not as good as you think. And they go through the different reasons as to why these things are coming onto him. Mm-hmm. And I just find it fascinating to read, because it's all the things that we say, like, well, maybe this is why these things are happening, or maybe this is why I'm suffering, and stuff like that. Yeah. And to me, the best part of the book, where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Because there's so many books to this, 42 books. I love it at the end here in 38. That's when God's just like had enough, because they sit there commiserating, the four of them, as to why God's doing these things. And maybe some of the reasons could be right. They're all justifiable reasons that they're saying. But at the end of the day, I love the ending, because God does a smackdown and suddenly he just starts speaking. And if you read the book, when Moses is talking about God, he said that God's voice is so terrifying, he didn't want him to say another word. I think that's why he goes up on the mountain and he comes back down and he's got gray hair, because it's terrifying, I guess, if you can hear God's voice. And so think about that. The four of them are sitting there deciding why they're going through this. And then God just says, all right, you all, I'm going to explain to you what's happening. And he says, who is this that darkened the counsels by words without knowledge? So once again, they're telling what's happening and they have no idea. They're just guessing, right? Kind of like everyone on these flat earth channels. Gird up thy loins like a man, for now I will demand of thee, and thou answer me. And I don't know about you all, but I can't imagine if God finally decides to speak to you in person and says, basically what he's saying is there, sit the hell down and listen to me, because I'm going to demand answers out of you. I think that would just terrify me to death at that point, don't you?
They probably look like this. They're probably like, oh! They probably were like that, like trying to like bury themselves in the dirt.
And so, well, that's funny. I just looked over at Averbilly. Says, okay, everybody out of the pool. If that's what you mean, God's saying, that's funny. But so he says, this is the greatest part. So all the people that think they know, all the people that can tell you how the world works, and they do their own little channels and shows, like, this is how this works, this is how that works, this is how the earth moves, this is how the sun and stars, this is how they rotate, this is the magnetic pull of this and that, and this is how these things create. You guys are going to do that and go on these channels and act like you know what you're talking about and yell at people that want to say, hey, what do you think of this? Great. God has an answer for you. And he says, anybody that thinks they know what they're talking about, listen to this. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare it if thou hast understanding. Who laid the measures thereof? Who knowest? If who has stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Who laid the cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, all the sons of God shouted for joy. Who shut up the seas with doors and then break forth as it issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud of garment thereof and thick darkness swaddling for it, and break up for my decreed place and set bars and doors. And if this is hard to read, you know what you can do? You can go.
No, this is good. I like this when I found it.
Okay, because you can also go to, I'm just talking to the audience. Some people, if they have trouble reading the Bible, that's kind of hard if you're not used to that. You can go to see like this one, and where he says, here, where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off the dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched the measuring line across it? Where were the footings set or laid on its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, the angels shouted for joy. Who shut up the seas behind doors when it burst from the womb? When I made the clouds its garnet and wrapped its thick darkness. So it's sometimes a little easier to read it this way, but he just goes on and on. And
Swaddle band for it? Did you say? Does yours say that? Swaddling. I
oh,
made
here,
a
I'll go
cloud
back.
and garment in
I'll go
thick
back to
darkness,
KJV.
a swaddling band for it. Well, who shut
What
the?
number are you
What
on?
does that mean?
Oh, wait. When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shuddered for joy. Or who
Yeah.
shut up the sea with doors when
That's
it brake forth as if it issued out the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof in thick darkness, a swaddling band for it. And I don't know. That's a weird word. Swaddling band. I don't remember. I don't know. I never. Whatever.
I'm in the thick darkness and the swaddling band for it.
Do you remember
know.
that? And break
Yeah,
out
I don't. I'm not familiar with the swaddling band. I don't remember ever hearing that.
It just,
so I don't know what
I
that
don't know.
is.
Whatever.
It's weird.
It just stuck out to me. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
it
it's
kind of
weird.
does.
What does the
Yeah.
NIV say? Let me look. Let's see what a swaddling band converts to over here.
Convert it.
Where'd you go?
Because
Yeah, this
I'm
is
curious
a
as to
translation.
what is the swaddling band? What is that
Nancy,
even?
Nancy, we need the Hebrew to Greek American
I've never
converter,
heard of a
please.
swaddling band. I don't know what it
Hebrew,
is.
the Hebrew to Greek converter. Let's see. Where was that? What was the passage?
Swaddling.
I've heard of swaddling cloths.
What line is it, Ray? What? I forget where it was.
It was on. It was. Oh, now you may. I lost it now. It was Job somewhere.
Well, I know that. Yeah.
It was around the 30s. It was around the 30s.
30s? Okay. No, it wasn't. We weren't that far.
That's where I read.
Let's see.
No, we weren't that far. Wait, hold on. I had it bookmarked.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. 18. What was it? 38.
Who shut up the sea doors?
38.9. Somewhere around there.
When I
Yeah,
made the
right there.
clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness. So that's the NIV version of that. So I guess he's saying that. Well, you can see what he's saying. I don't know. It's really hard to get caught up on those because I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless you concentrated on that the first time you're reading through it, if it is changed, Mandela or whatever, it's hard to say unless you really familiar with that.
I'm not familiar with anything. Yeah. I'm just reading.
Yeah, we're just figuring it out together.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure.
All right, so let's see. Let me back this up. It's easier to see it this way for me. Okay.
I'll probably get a swaddling band in the mail now somehow.
A swaddling band?
Yeah. Something weird will happen. I'm like, oh, all right. That's what they're talking about.
Okay, so basically what it sounds like is it encompasses it, right? When I made the cloud, the garment thereof, in the thick darkness, a swaddling encompasses it, I guess. And so, but he continues to go on. Like, you can't explain any of these things. How hast thou commanded the morning since the days and caused the day spring to know his place? And you don't know how day and night works. You don't know how anything works. And he's like, how can you tell me my job if you don't even understand anything? And where is it? Let's see. Is there more? Let's see. I just find it fascinating. Like, he gives the smackdown like nobody's business. And he keeps going. This is still God yelling at them, saying you don't know shit, basically. And then here, look, unicorn shows up in the Bible and Job. There's a lot of
what's up? What did it used to be like before you
who knows? I don't remember ever reading about a unicorn the first times I was.
And some people try to say something stupid, like they're talking about a rhino or something, no, they're talking about a unicorn, dude. It's a unicorn.
Let's see what any of the other changes. I mean, any of the other books say what that is. Let's see. We'll go back to NIV. I can never find it. There's so many. NIV, where are you? N. Where are you?
I mean, well, there's different types of people, right? I don't know, there's a name for it. There's people who like take the Bible literally, word for word, and then there's people who try to find their own meaning in the
They
scriptures.
say it's a wild ox.
A wild ox. That's what
So
a unicorn is.
I
All
guess
right, I
I guess
guess
it's an
so.
ox with a horn. I don't know.
So, so unicorns are real. They're just wild oxes.
I guess so. I don't know. It's just nuts. I mean, Matrix is in the Bible and unicorns and whatever. So, but that's the thing. I can still find a lot of great things in this book of Job and just ignore this because it really doesn't matter. Like, does it matter to me if God actually said, will the unicorn be willing to serve thee or abide by their crib? I can just dismiss that and continue on. You know what I mean? There's so many people like, see, it's changed. You can't read anything, throw it away with the baby with the bathwater. No, I can throw away that one line if I have a problem with it and still get something out of the rest of the passage. So,
Right. That's where discernment comes in, and having the word of God written on your heart, because if it's written on your heart and you have that discernment from God, then he will reveal to you what he's actually saying, what his actual message is in the word. So, and those things that are changed, those things will stand out to us. We'll notice it, and be able to discern what the actual truth is. He'll show that to us if we're seeking.
and I'm looking in the chat. Morgan mentioned when they talk about Jesus, they they wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger. So, there's their swaddling clothes. So that's cool.
Yeah, I've heard of swaddling clothes. I just never heard swaddling band before. That just sounded
Yeah.
weird. I mean, what did they tie a band around to after they swaddle the baby? Then they tie a rope around the baby to hold the blanket around them.
I don't know. Maybe they hang him from a pole. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
But okay, so this is a great part. So there's at least 2 full chapters where God just lays into them. I mean, I don't even understand how you survive that. A lecture like that from God would just be terrifying. And sure enough, if you get to the 40, it's fantastic. So what does Job say? Here's God finishing. He goes, moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? So you're going to tell me what to do? He that reproveth God, let him answer it. So you want to tell me what to do? Go ahead. I'm listening. What do you got to say for yourself? And this is my favorite part. Job suddenly realizes, behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will have laid my hand upon my mouth. He's like, holy crap, I am so sorry. And he didn't even like curse God and stuff like they expected him to do. He finally got to the end where he couldn't take it. And he's just like, look, God, can you just kill me? I just don't want to be here anymore. If I've upset you and displeased you this much, just take my life from me because I don't deserve it, kind of thing. So he never really does curse God. But he does say, hey, take back this gift of my life. And so that's partly why I think he gets the smackdown too. And then he realizes, holy crap, after he gets yelled at, I'm just going to shut my mouth and sit here and pretend maybe you won't see me, like in school when you hide in the back because you don't want to get called on. And so he says,
Right.
behold, I'm vile. What shall I answer thee? Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. So he talks to God twice, trying to give his side of the story. And then finally, this is when he's like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything else. And then God answers him again because he's like, fine, gird up your loins and act like a man. I will demand of thee and declare thou unto me. Will thou also disannul my judgment? Will thou condemn me? Will thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God? Can thou cast thunder like a voice like him? Deck thyself with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage and wrath, and behold everyone that is proud, and abase him. Look on everyone that is proud, and bring him low, and tread him down like the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust, and bind their faces in secret. So let's see, where is it at? Let's see, where is he? Surely the mountains. Let's go this way. This is something. So there's this beast called a Leviathan, and God created him. Again, we're not quite sure, But in the end times, the Leviathan and that other monster, there's another one, are supposed to come back, and no one can take care of the Leviathan. Only God. Nothing can beat this creature.
Nothing can stop the Leviathan, dude.
Nothing.
I'm gonna look into this.
So
Go
he
ahead.
says, "Can thou draw out the Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord, without let us down? Can you put a hook into its nose, or bore a jaw through it with a thorn? Will he make supplications? Will he speak soft words unto thee?" So he's saying, "Are you going to be able to take care of the Leviathan?
That's
Will you
you
play with
know
him as a bird?" And
that's funny because my nickname in high school used to be the Leviathan, and I never knew why.
that's funny.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I don't know, lay thy hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? No one is so fierce that dares stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who has prevented me that I shall repay him? Who whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. So he's saying, if you can't take care of the Leviathan, you're going to try to tell me my job? You don't even know it. You don't know anything. And let's see, because I mean, talk about sounding like the main serpent or Satan himself. I mean, um, out of his mouth go burning lamps and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goes smoke, his seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindles coals, his flame goes out of his mouth. His neck remains strong, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. So yeah, it's pretty evil thing. And you get down to the bottom here. Where is it at here? And then Job answers the Lord, "I know now that I canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee." And what I thought was interesting about this, Ray, is something that you said that's been resonating with me ever since. Is that we talk about how, we just said in Job, Satan has to walk to and fro and up and down, and he has
Yeah.
to use other means like demonic spirits or whatever, minions, or the internet and these machines to see and hear everything. He's
Yeah.
not like
All
God,
right.
imitating. He has to be. He can't
So
be everywhere at once. But wait, let me finish. So
yeah.
what Ray said one night was,
Mm-hmm. I'll
God
say it
made us.
again.
God made our eyes. He made everything.
The animals too, the fish, the bugs, all of us that have senses and can
So
see.
if we all come from the same energy, and now we're all spread out into God's within all of us, he's still using my eyes, he's still using my ears and my nose, and he's experiencing everything real time as I do it. So when
the
they
whole
say
entire
you
plane,
can't hide anything
all
from
across.
God, he's always around, it's because he's in you, and everything you see and hear and speak and say and do, he's right there watching it. So you can't hide.
And God put the stars in the sky like a clock so we could tell the time and the changes of times. Everything works perfect. Everything that God created was perfect. All right? Everything that man creates has flaws. That's all I want to say. I digress.
I like it. I digress, or so they say. So let's see. Okay, so Job says, "Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful me which I knew not." So then he started to figure out he doesn't know anything, and shoot, I got to try to calm God down. What does they say in the auditors? He needs to de-escalate the situation.
He said you needed to de-escalate. You're dismissed.
Sorry, God, can we de-escalate? I'm really sorry. So he goes, here, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by hearing of the ear, but now my eye seeth thee. So I've heard about you, but now I realize, oh shit, you're right there. Where I abhor myself, and I repent in dust and ashes. And so he's just like, just have mercy on me.
Which dust and ashes is the earth, which is mud, which is clay, right? Which is the same thing bricks are made out of.
And I found an interesting thing. Whenever they're in trouble, like when he gets covered in sores, they cover themselves in ash. So there's something about that. We have to look into that, because they did that is either a healing process
We'll
Or
have our best people at the agency on it. Nancy,
please.
I
Nancy,
always
did you hear that?
understood that as because back in those times, this is what I was told, is that back in those times when they were mourning, when somebody was mourning, they would rent their clothes and cover themselves in ash or dust.
Right. Right. And I'm saying I'm not sure why, but it's interesting because they always do that.
So maybe they were like, when they saw him, they lamented and were like mourning because he looked so terrible. And I actually was watching this movie that's based off the book of Job, but it kind of presents it with like modern day scenes and stuff. But the way that Job was portrayed when he had the sores, he looked terrible. I mean, words you can't put it into words how bad they made him look. Like, I mean, he was covered in blood and just and gore. Like, he was really gory looking.
Who?
And so
Who
maybe he did look pretty bad,
Jesus?
and his friends probably saw him and were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, maybe they thought he was going to die.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And there was a question somebody said, where is it? They were asking about his wife because at the end here's where it after it's all done and they've realized, what's been going on and they understand it, all the people that were there. Then it came unto him all his brethren and his sisters, and they all had been of his. Let's see, they did eat bread with him in his house, and they bemoaned him and comforted him all over the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. And every man gave a piece of money, and everyone an earring of gold. And so the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. So he got even more riches than he started with. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000. So he doubled everything, right?
Yeah. Did he lose it? Did he keep all that, or did he lose it again?
No. This is the ending. He gets it all back.
Oh, well, that's good. So he.
Yeah.
All right.
Because basically the story is this: it's a teaching so we can understand. And so Job loses everything. He never curses God. He curses his own life. And then the teachings happen, and God explains things to them. And then he gives him everything back, and he doubles all of his things that he had, and he gets an additional 7 sons and 3 daughters, which he'd already had. But don't forget, they died, so he'll meet them again in heaven. So he's doubled basically, because now he's got twice as many sons and daughters.
Yeah.
And then as far as the wife, it doesn't say, but she told him to basically go kill himself. So I would assume he found another wife. That was just me,
I mean, that's what I would do.
I probably would, And then he lives 140 years. And
well, it wasn't uncommon back in those days for men to have more than one wife.
Yeah, well, part of that too was in the very beginning. They're trying to populate the earth, and so, but that ends up ending. All that stuff ends, especially when Jesus shows up. All of the sacrifices with the burned offerings and all that stops because Jesus was the final one.
They don't want us populating the earth anymore. You can tell.
Yeah.
We don't exactly need to now.
I think we still do. I think there's plenty of room.
I mean, I don't think it's wrong to.
Well, there's tons of room.
Because it was still something that God commanded. Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply, right? That was a command. Yeah. And it still applies, but I'm just saying that we don't exactly need to now because there's a lot of people on earth, but homeless people. But it's not wrong to want to have children.
I'm gonna pee and get us some coffee. Keep going.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
Oh, now I feel like I'm on the spot.
I just wanted to add something. I'm going on a little trip soon on the snowmobile, and I've noticed this area is already perfectly designed for people to inhabit soon, but I don't think they're allowing it for whatever reasons.
Do you want to tell everybody who you are? Do you want to tell everybody who you are?
I'll not matter that. But
That's
Jenny,
Yeah, well,
that's Machine Head.
in case
That's
anybody
Machine Head
don't know, this
69 in the chat.
is Logan.
Machine Head 69 in the chat. That's him.
Yeah.
okay, thanks, Ray. Yeah, I sometimes don't introduce myself in conversations. But yeah,
That's
like
right.
I've been Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington, snowmobiling, exploring, and there's a lot of room. A lot's ready.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You send
And
me
there's a lot
videos
of
all the
homeless
time.
problems, and people can't pay rent, and landlords are becoming not going out to eat kind of people. And that's just all I was saying. The land's there ready for
Oh, yeah.
whatever reason it's restricted.
The whole population of the Earth allegedly could fit within the state of Alaska comfortably.
So even if we wanted to build on it, we can't.
No, there's so much land. Okay, like in the state of Alaska, the whole population of the Earth could fit within the state of Alaska comfortably.
Yeah, but there's oil.
Or within the state of Texas, kind of a little bit closer together.
They don't want us touching Alaska, right? For some reason, they don't want us.
Well, no, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying that that's how much land there is, and that just Alaska, everybody could fit there comfortably. So, and then you've got the rest of the world too. So, like, we're not overpopulated by any stretch.
No.
But I'm just saying that there's not a lack of people either.
In the cities, they're making it harder for people to have families, like even worse than in the suburb. I just went down the whole South Coast. You guys still have room down south, like
there's so much room. You drive along California, there's in Washington, there's so
not
much
here
fields and stuff.
Well, in this place, I have a piano. I have all but
Logan's taking me driving around up here in Montana too, and there's so much like stretches of land where there's nothing, like just nothing but mountains and just open just land, just openness.
Who said it? People should always fill the earth. Andrew Havadick. Yeah, actually, Andrew, I'm having a baby. July 11th. Boom, baby. It's a boy. Boom. Another one.
Unfortunately, I can't have any more children, so,
Well, I'll have a few.
But I've had 5, so, I'm good.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm not going to have 5, but I might. We'll see.
Well, and I've got like 1 or 2 in heaven now, so, like, I mean, I know I had one miscarriage was confirmed. I think I had 2 miscarriages, though, but the first one wasn't confirmed or denied.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
But I know I'll see him again, so.
Yeah. Hopefully. We all get there.
All right, so what do you guys think?
I don't know. I think that we did a good job covering Job, and I think that there was something that you were saying that I was going to bring up towards the end.
And if there's questions in the chat, if there's something you want us to talk about, we'll be happy to talk about it. If there's something you want us to
cover. The thing with Job's wife is perplexing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just says he gets a new family, but it doesn't mention his wife. Let me go back to the.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering about that too. Like, did she
go fight, or did she
did she die, or did she not die? Like,
well, she didn't die.
She was a unicorn.
She was there yelling at him. Let's see. Let me bring it up again here.
Yeah, Jenny's louder than me.
Yeah, Jenny is. She just has a loud speaking voice.
Yeah, I don't mean to. I just don't even hear myself sometimes.
Let's see if I'll find where Job's wife starts bitching at him.
Yeah. What did his wife say to him?
Yeah, she says to him, and she says, "Why don't you just curse God and die already?"
Yeah. Here we
Like,
go.
that's basically what she says.
Yeah, I'll
I
find
don't like, does God strike her down
it. It
or
doesn't
what
say
happened?
that I saw. Let's see. We'll get back over here. Clickety click. Here we are.
So what I was gonna say is
I would be scared to
this
say something
story.
like that.
I
Here it
remember
is
what I was
right
gonna
here.
say now. This story has a happy ending, right?
Yeah.
But not every book in the Bible has a happy ending.
No. But they all have teachings to them.
All right, go ahead.
So here you go. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. And then he says, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and we shall not receive evil? In all this did Job not sin with his lips.
So
So that's
wait a
all
God.
Jesus.
Is that the words of God? Though that's the words of God.
No, this is Job talking to his
Oh,
wife.
Job.
She's like, because he's already lost everything, all of his riches and his family and everything. He just has her.
He called his wife a foolish woman in the Bible.
Instead, if she talks this way, that's how the foolish women speak. Yes.
Yeah, if. It's an if.
So he's not actually calling her foolish. He's saying that she was speaking in the same way
as
foolish women speak.
Because when you start questioning God,
So he's basically warning her to watch her tongue.
If I was a woman, I would take that as if you were just calling me a foolish woman. But
well, no, basically what he was saying is to watch your mouth.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's really, I mean, I can look farther, but that's the last I remember his wife talking, because then his friends talk and then God talks. And then
that was it.
That
was it for her. After she said that, nothing else came out of her. Nobody knows what happened to her.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless I'm missing something in the scriptures. I don't remember seeing anything else about her.
Basically, what he was saying to her was to shut your mouth.
That was the last thing she
ever
said.
And
then she disappeared.
He told her to shut her mouth.
It's like the agency, you know. She was taken out. Oh, hey, Belinda, it's good to see you. I haven't talked to you in a while. So good to see you here.
Yeah, Job said to his wife, shut your mouth.
He was like, nothing else out of you. Yeah. He's like, that's the last verse you're getting in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, she was, and then they could add, and then she was never heard of again. And then you know, Job's like the next day he's drinking milk. He looks at the carton and there's his wife's face on it. Oh, shoot, people! But just remember this show.
We're on a mission from God.
Yeah. So we're gonna carry the torch every week. We're gonna bring it over. Maybe we'll do it on your channel. Maybe we'll do it on my channel. Maybe we'll do it on mine and Jenny's channel. We'll do it on a bunch of channels.
So are you potentially starting next Sunday? Is that what you're doing, or?
Yeah, every Sunday. Yeah.
All right. So every Sunday, check out and Ray and Jenny, put your link in this chat so that way they can find you. And then if you want to hear more of these studies, they're going to be doing more every Sunday morning.
Also,
yes.
Also, I don't we need people to be involved. We need people who know a lot about the scripture, people who have lessons.
Ray, can you put my link in there? Because I don't have a way to do it right now.
I'll do my best. I mean, I'm not the link master, but
or if you could do it, Ceiling Fan Man, or someone I got you. To do it. I don't have access.
I mean, I'll do it, Jenny. Relax.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, just whoever can do it, because I can't.
I normally have Melanie do those things.
I got it
here.
Yeah, where's Melanie at?
Probably sleeping.
I sent her the link. I sent it. She got the memo. She got the facsimile.
Melanie's here. Finally, shows up late.
She's tardy.
She is tardy.
I can't see them.
I don't feel tardy.
Come on, Melanie. The show's over and you show up. What the heck?
Yeah, well, I can't see nothing, so I don't know.
Big round of applause for Melanie Moran showing up. At least.
Is that good, Ray?
Yeah. I love it.
So, all right. Is there anything else?
Oh, I just thought of something. I just thought about
throwing
something
the links
funny,
in.
Ceiling Fan Man.
Yes.
After Job told his wife to shut her mouth, she became the silent wife.
Yeah, right. She became the silent wife. You hear
Yeah,
that?
I mean, the Bible teaches a lot of lessons to a lot of different walks of life, men, women. Just, I think that's a lesson. I think that's a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see. Oh, this is funny. She got sent to God's basement. Isn't that funny? We could do a whole thing on where is what's her name? I don't even know if they tell her. Just Job's wife. Does she have a name?
Does she have a name? Yeah.
Like, where is she now? What
We should
happened
look
to her?
Yeah. Like put out a missing, like a wanted poster.
She got sent to her room.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Somebody just said in the chat, where is it? This is what Job said to his wife.
Quiet.
Shoot. You guys. This shit. You chat.
There
I
you
love
go.
the chats.
I got the links in.
Okay, excellent.
And
That's
Melanie
good.
did too. And Melanie did. Thank you, Melanie.
And legend has it Job is still paying alimony. That's fantastic. You guys. That's
Oh,
great.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, what
Well,
else we got? Are we good? You guys have
Yeah.
anything else, or
We pretty much covered Job.
Yeah.
I don't know.
we didn't cover Job? Yeah, Belinda says she likes hearing in the background. Jeannie,
Yeah.
what would you like us to cover more on, Jeannie?
Yeah. What's up, Jeannie?
Job 36. Let's get back into
All right.
this. Here
All
we
right.
go. Clickety click.
Job
Go
36.
here.
This post of my
Wait, 38? I think we covered that one. That's when Job, God yells at him. What part did you want to hear? 36? Okay. She's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I know how that works. Sometimes you're looking at it.
What
you're
is the
like,
part that you want me to look into?
the whole thing? Go for it.
About how God works? This is Elihu proceeds to say. Is that what you mean, Jane?
Yes.
All right, so this is one of his friends saying, let's see, clickety click. Go here. All right. So this is Elihu. And suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. All right, so he's gonna explain why God's doing these things. And I will fetch my knowledge from afar and will ascribe righteousness to my maker. For truly my word shall not be false, that his perfect knowledge is with thee. Behold, God is mighty and despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. He withdraw not his eyes from the righteous, but the kings, they are on the throne. Yea, he does establish them forever, and they are exalted. And that's interesting too about the kings.
The high exalted, right?
Yeah. Did you know that when we got brought out of Egypt and the bondage, and God was walking with us, and they kept complaining all the time. He finally he's like, I'll be your master. I'll take care of things. And they're like, well, everyone else has kings. We want kings. And he's like, well, you don't need kings. You have me. And they're like, well, we want kings. So he said, fine, you'll get kings, but now you're on their, some are good, some are bad. And so
Yeah.
again, we asked for, just like we asked for government to take care of things and give away all of our sovereignty. And now that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We have free will, and we have, we are basically God's law is all we have to respect. But now we've given away our power because we said, hey, we want someone else in charge because it's too difficult or something.
Yeah.
And so here we go. So he says, if they be bound in fetters and beholden in cords of affliction, then he showeth their work and their transgressions that they have exceeded. He opened their ear to discipline and commandeth they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. So I'm on board with pretty much all this. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath, and they cry not when bindeth them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. He
So
delivered
die.
them.
So die without knowledge could mean you die without being awake.
Correct. Correct.
Go ahead.
If
Go
you
ahead.
never seek out God's truth, then you're going to die completely unknowing, right?
And then you might get recycled and come back, maybe, or
if that's a thing, yeah. I don't believe there's another recycle coming. I think this is it.
I don't think so either. My thoughts on that is that we're in the little season, right? And it also says that the rest of the dead would be raised back, would come back, and and I think that's what we are. I think we're we've come back.
Next week's show is going to be
because
about
we didn't have the opportunity. We didn't have the opportunity to know about Jesus in the former life. And so now this is our chance to learn about Jesus and accept him or not.
And the
there
thing
will
is,
be another chance.
When you read about Jesus, when he dies, he doesn't ascend to heaven immediately. For those 3 days when he's gone, it says he descends first and then ascends. So I believe that's the time he goes to the people that are dead, because there talks about that there's a place in Sheol or Sheol, however you say it, that righteous are living, waiting for the end, for the final judgment. Yeah. And so, sorry, someone was just my coffee was showing up. What was I saying? Oh, shoot. I know. I just totally lost the train there. Went off the tracks here. Rich. But
I mean, I could find that verse that I was talking about. I think it's in Revelation.
About what? The
verse that I was referring to. The verse I was referring to, where it says about the second resurrection or something like that.
Oh, right. Okay. So thank you. That's what I was saying. So when he descends first. And I believe that's when he goes down to the area where people have already died and are waiting for the final judgment, because they say, how much longer do we have to wait? And God says, just a little bit longer. And he went down there to let people know that he exists and he is the truth, because they didn't know then either. And so he had to do that. Again, this is my conjecture. I wasn't there. So this is what I can see. Because why else would he go down? He has to show himself to everyone, including people that have passed. So, but so let's see. Where is it?
Oh, here it is. Revelation chapter 20, starting in verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Wait a minute. I might have missed it.
Yeah. It used to be, in my mind, was short season of Satan, SOS. Now it's called little season. And I talked about this. I believe that's where we exist right now. I think Revelation happened because there's evidence of melted buildings and stuff everywhere in my mind. And then if that's true, we're watching the Revelation 2.0, Satan's version. He can mimic, he can't create. And so we're watching his version of what already happened. And it's happening in a weird way, like people are wearing horses on TV and stuff. And you know what I mean? Like seals and stuff are happening.
Oh, yeah.
In weird ways. And so I just believe that this is the short season, the mimic. And in that time, he says what? Satan will go and deceive everyone through pharmakia, and we're seeing that happen right now. So how you can't...
I found it.
Satan isn't original. He can't be original. He can't. No. He has no original thoughts. He just copies people.
Correct.
I found it though. It's verse 5 of chapter 20 in Revelation. It says, "But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished."
Mm-hmm.
So that implies right there, when it says they live not again until until the 1,000 years were finished. That kind of implies right there that after the 1,000 year millennial reign was finished, then the rest of the dead, the ones that weren't part of the first resurrection, the ones that were like for reserved for the second resurrection, that we are those. Like, well, a lot of us living now are part of the second resurrection.
Because there's also the story about the women with
I
the
mean, I
oil
can't
lamp.
know this, but you know.
No, I know. But there's also the story about the women with the oil lamps that they were supposed to get ready for Jesus's return. Some of them did, and some of them said, he's not coming. It's too late. We'll do it, in the morning. And of course, he shows up, and they say, hey, we can't hang on. We need to get oil for our lamps. And they go to get it, and he leaves. So that's kind of the same idea, is that I feel that maybe you and I and Ray and a few others, we were hanging out in the back just saying, it's not going to happen tonight. It's too late. And then he left. And so here we are. We're experiencing it. We have to go through our own tribulations and figure this out to get through it, because other people have already done it. And now it's our turn. That's the way I see it. And
We missed the wedding supper.
Correct. And the way I was describing that feeling in the beginning, where I was like, why me, why me, why me? Now, I mean, in a weird way, I'm excited because our life has purpose now. Our life isn't just wake up, go to work, watch Netflix, go on vacation, and then die. You know what I mean? There's a meaning, there's a purpose to get a relationship with God and to help others along the way. And so no matter what's going on in this world, I can still sink my teeth into that I have a purpose to be here. Because think about it. We either were chosen to be here for a reason, because God sees something in us that we don't even see, or we chose to be here. There's no accident.
I was just talking to my dad about that this morning. That's such a synchronicity. I was just on the phone with my dad this morning. He's probably watching. Hi, Dad. I told him about the show, and I was telling him how, like, okay, like everything, whether you look around, whether it's the animals, us, the way we breathe out, we breathe in oxygen and breathe out, and the airs, the trees breathe in what we breathe out and breathe out oxygen, and the way that this whole place works, right? To think that it doesn't have any intelligent design behind it, and it just, you came from an explosion or something, which, like, if you see a building explode, it gets destroyed, right? So explosions, they destroy things. I've never seen an explosion happen and something is like built from it. I mean, I've been looking out for it, but I haven't seen it. But um, you know, so there's proof of the creator in everything. Everywhere you look, you just got to look for it.
Yeah, no, I here, let me bring this up.
The whole place has intelligent design. The whole place. You know what I mean? You can't deny it. That's something or someone that's smarter, a force that's greater than us.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe that it's a person. It just, Jesus, God, whatever you want to believe it is. It could be a force. Something that we don't understand.
You see this, Ray?
Yeah.
Is that when I share screen sharing? I can't tell. Yeah. See that, Ray? The atheist delusion. The iPhone with 12 megapixels has a crater, and a complete accident. There's 576 megapixels in the eyeball. Plus, we don't even, they don't know how it works.
That's a good one.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't understand how the eyeball works.
Yeah, boom, baby.
They don't understand how the human brain works.
No.
They still don't understand how that. So
and for anybody that doesn't understand the existence of God, to me, this meme is perfect. So you got, this is us, which has God.
Mm-hmm.
And here's God ready to knock us off of this building that God created.
Yeah.
And God's also here, and God's also ready to catch us.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, this is exactly how I see it. Because if we all come from one energy source, it still exists in everything that we see. So,
yeah.
And then lastly, this. This is this is kind of the way I see it. If you want to believe in a dome, something's keeping the waters out of the top, and then something's keeping the waters off of the bottom. And so there's your ball. And we live in this area, which is, mostly flat. And then there's something down here. But all these passages prove it. The earth is a circle made with a compass, laid upon a face, bounded at end, does not move, covered by a dome, containing the sun, moon, and stars, which are revolving above and below as water.
And for some people, that might make you feel like at first scared, like, oh, we're trapped in here. But it actually makes me feel safe. And you notice how it looks like an eyeball?
Again, yes, absolutely.
And also, it's almost like like this was made for us, and we're safe in here, and there's nothing that's going to come out from outside and hurt us, because this place was made by God for us. That's why the stars, moon, and sun go around like a clock and end up in the same place all the time and tell us the time and the change in the time.
And the reason they want you to believe in aliens, especially right now, this alien attacks or whatever is going on, is because if you put something out here that's coming from outer space, see now, according to science and NASA, there are things that exist outside of God's realm, so he can't possibly be in control of them. You see, everything we know in existence is within God's realm. That's why there are no alien things coming in here. He did this, like Ray said, to protect us, to care for his children. Just like you protect your children or your animals or whatever, you comfort them and you shower them with all the basic needs. And everything in this system is enclosed and never ending and perfect. And you can tell it's all connected. Like if you look at your lungs,
mm-hmm.
The capillaries in there look just like your veins, and that looks just like the branches of a tree, which also looks like the branches and the roots in the tree, and which also looks like the ways that rivers are scattered around the earth. And so, like, everything is connected and looks similar. Even the lines in the leaf match all that too. So there's no way it's just a complete crazy accident from some explosion in space. This was designed by an intelligent being, whatever you want to call God. And we live within it, and it's perfect. And if you like Ray says, if you're like, oh wow, I'm trapped, what do I do? I'm trapped like a rat. Well, first of all, most people that I'm talking to maybe have never even left their own state.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. Go somewhere.
Never left their own state. Maybe they've never left their own country. Maybe they've never explored the oceans. I mean, everyone's worried about getting to space and to Mars and a moon, and they've never even traveled the amazing expanses that are here on Earth right now. And so if everyone's so worried that we're trapped, you're trapped in your own city.
Just go a few states over and you'll see a lot of different stuff. Like, you don't even have to go that far.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I look at this as a positive thing, not a negative. I don't mind being protected by everything from God that could come at me. So, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. All right. Yeah. So let's go off of that. And
I just wanted to. I wanted to mention something. It's kind of a really cool thing happened. It was probably about a year ago, I think, maybe a little somewhere around there. But one of my good friends in Aiken. I talked to her a little bit about, what I know about, or what I've researched about flat Earth and all that. And she listened to me with the open mind. She didn't know whether to accept it or not at first. But one day she was reading in her Bible, and she was reading Job 38. She called me at about 11:30 at night, which I was like, well, what's wrong? Because she goes to bed about 8 or 9 at night most of the time. But she calls me about 11:30 at night. One night, she's all excited and everything. And she's like, guess what? You're right. You're right. And she was like telling me about where she read in there in Job 38. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And I got really excited for her and everything. And I didn't have to bully her into it. I didn't have to beat it over her head. I just told her what I've learned, what I believe, and I didn't push it on her, I said, it's just what I've come to understand. And she figured it. It's like God revealed it to her himself. And I thought it was awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, that's all we can do is we can go into the scriptures and we can read it and try to discern it. And if you have trouble, ask God for help.
Right.
It's pretty amazing.
Did Ray like lose connection?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's back.
I'm back.
Ray.
Right.
So
I shouldn't have been touching stuff.
yeah.
That's
Your
what I
mom.
get for. That's what I get for touching things.
Yeah, you've been told that your whole life.
Yes. Yes. I'm. I'm looking
All
at
right,
my
so
plate.
let's see. Let me finish up with. Let's see. We were at Job 38. I do like because he's saying, he says, "Behold, God is great, and we know Him not. Neither can the number of His years be searched out. For He maketh the small drops of water; they pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill a man abundantly." Also, can any understand the spreadings of the clouds or the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it and cover the bottom of the sea. For by them judgeth he the people and giveth meat in abundance. With clouds he covered the light and commanded it not to shine by the cloud that cometh betwixt. The noise showeth there concerning it. The cow. Okay, so again, he's just saying nobody knows uh, how he does these things. So let's see. Out of his mouth cometh the wind, the cold of the north. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's
Yeah,
anything.
Andrew Havadick just said thank you for bringing me here. I feel so good because, like, he reads the Bible, he reads Scripture all the time on his channel, and nobody watches him. And I was like, dude, come over here, because this is where I feel like this is where he belongs, and how he's happy. So there you go. That makes me feel good. At least if nobody learned nothing today and nobody took anything away from this, at least he found a community of people to talk to. So that's good.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And right here, this part, men do therefore fear him. He respecteth not any that are wise of heart. And that reminds me, there's a passage that says, the beginning of knowledge is the fear of the Lord. And
Yeah.
so the people that are upset about the God of the Bible and all this stuff, they have to understand what that passage means. At least what it means to me is that if you realize that we exist, like we just showed, in God's earth, bubbled, covered, protected by Him, if He says not to fear anything because He's in charge of it all, then you have to understand he's a man of His word, but you have to fear Him. That doesn't mean He's like some crazy, scary, mean God. He's first of all loving and forgiving. And to prove that, think of all the sins that people, in the community that people that are listening right now. If you've ever done any sin, which we all have, He's forgiven. He still loves you and forgives you and wants to have a relationship with you. And so the fear of the Lord is, like we said earlier, once you get this connection and He's in your heart, you just want to do the right thing, not because it's morally right, but because you just have no other way of thinking now. Because you know that if you do things that are immoral, you're going to have to answer to God. And that's why I believe it's so important to look at the things that we talk about, like on Jen's channel and stuff, where you
Mm-hmm.
see the evidence of a destroyed civilization. I don't care how it happened. You can say it was water, mud, fire, electricity. It doesn't matter. What we can see is the remnants of whatever the wrath of God is. And so to me, the fear of the Lord is knowing He has that power and He's going to do it not on the righteous, He's
Mm-hmm.
going to do it on the wicked. Why? Because He needs to snap them out of it.
I
The way
think.
I see it is this: God's not punishing and menacing and make us go through this because he wants to torture us. I believe if it's like a magnet, one end, if you turn it around, they just don't make,
Mm-hmm.
you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
I believe that if we have sin within us, we can't enter into the kingdom of heaven. And so how's He going to get rid of the sin in us? We have to do it ourselves. We have free will. So He has to allow it to Satan to touch us, like He did Job, to get us to that point where we're on our knees crying out for Him. because other than that, we go along like an atheist and believe that no one created us. It was a complete accident. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the way I see it. Why do bad things happen to good people? Is because there's so many people that think they're doing the right thing and they're really not. And
And
in order to get to heaven, if they don't cleanse themselves, they ain't getting in. It's not because God's mad at you. It's the
They
law.
make-
Like the refiner's fire.
They make
the
poor
refinery fire.
choices. They make poor choices in life. They're good people, but they make poor choices because they don't think that their life matters, because they think they're a speck of dust, and they think they evolved from a monkey.
And when you think about it, the thing they talk about, like you don't want your child to stick a fork in a light socket, right? So what does God say? He puts this set of things involved in front of us to let us know the right way so we can survive and live. Because like you say, honing it in a fire, like Jenny said, to cleanse it. There was a story in the Bible when they're moving the Ark of the Covenant, and God says, no one can touch this, because if you touch it, you'll die. Right? So what happens? They're walking and the ark starts to shift and it looks like it's going to fall off of its whatever they're holding it. And this guy thinks he's doing the right thing. He goes against what God says and he grabs a hold of it so it doesn't fall.
To steady the ark.
And he
Boom.
dies. And so I read that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty vicious. God just took him out. But when you think about it, he told them there are specific rules. And if you don't listen, you will die. He also says for no one to touch the mountain when Moses is up there being talked to by God, not because he hates everyone, but because some reason, because of the laws of the nature we live in, if you're unclean and you touch anything that when he's speaking or whatever, it'll kill you. He's like warning us. He's not saying, I'm going to kill you. Ha ha ha.
One of the most
do it, you'll die.
One of the most
I
valuable
think, I
lessons
think
that I
with the
learned.
Ark of the Covenant,
Wait,
I think
go
with
ahead,
that.
Ray. Go ahead,
Oh.
Ray.
One of the most valuable lessons that I learned from the Bible that woke me up is the temple of God is within, right? And they're not talking about a temple, like a stone temple built out of a building within the temple. They're talking about the temple of God is within us, the Holy Spirit.
You have a temple here, and you have a temple here, and God wants to sit right there. That's your temple because he's with you.
That's where God is. So
right.
then once you know that, then you found God. You know where God is. He's within you. He's within all of us. And then you don't want to do bad things to your body anymore and make poor choices.
And I find this interesting too, Ray. They always talk about your temples and they say God, Satan, everyone wants to sit here. They always talk about the pineal gland and we're opening our third eye and chakra and all that crap. Okay.
And the fluorization is messing with the pineal gland.
But think about this.
Yeah.
God doesn't talk about your pineal gland. He doesn't talk about your mind or your brain. What does he talk about? He talks about your heart, your gut, your loins. And so I've been using that teaching since I've woken up. When I try to decide something, I measure it by my heart. I measure it by my gut. That gut feeling that you get, those are real. And so Satan wants to control you where? Here. Through all this stuff coming into your brain, through your eyes, your ears. He wants to this, and he wants New Age people want to work on this. And, it's funny. New Age is old age. It's people trying to ascend themselves through chakras, crystals, tarot, whatever, getting to the point where what? They're as God. They always quote that scripture where Jesus says, you'll do this and more. That doesn't mean you become God. Because if you think that you're going to awaken yourself and become God, that is Satanism. I don't care
what
you
It's the original lie. It's the original lie that Satan said to Eve.
You can make it all pretty and beautiful and name it whatever you want. Satan was the first one that fell. And why did he fall? Because he said, I can do what God does and I can do it better and I'm going to run it myself. And if you practice New Age, it's the same idea. If God says that in the end times, there are people that know the power of God, but rebuke where it comes from. They deny where it comes from. And so, yeah, I manifest it. No, you didn't do shit. God allows certain things and doesn't allow others, period, end of story. That's my thought.
Yeah. Oh no! What I was going to say earlier though about the Ark of the Covenant. This is what I think what happened. Why God said don't touch it, like and like even trying to just steady it. It was still like touching it, and He didn't want people to touch it because it was electrified, maybe. And so when that guy went to steady it, He was electrocuted.
That makes sense. It could be because we work off of
That's why
electricity.
it had the handlebars on it, like the handles where they had to hold it, but they had to carry it with these long bar handles, and not actually carrying the ark itself. They had those handles.
So it was a
On
piece
there.
of tech. It was a piece of tech.
It was like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it was made out of gold. That would,
Yeah.
well, gold was overlaid on it, and gold has electrical properties, and it can be electrified.
I mean, if you take a liquid and you pour, if you take, say, water and you pour some dye in it, it mixes and turns that color. If you take oil, it doesn't connect, right? They separate. And so whatever let's say it's electrical process, whatever was in us, God didn't want you to touch that because it's the opposite or something. Maybe if you weren't completely sinless or chosen by God to do something, it could have dire consequences. So yeah, like you said. And manifesting is new age, but new age is old age. I mean, manifesting goes all the way back to the teachings of Aleister Crowley, and he's straight up Satanism. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's just repackaging it.
So doesn't urine therapy. That's nasty too.
Oh,
I heard people talking about that when I was down south.
There's so many ways that people can try to come up with ways to like do things, and go ahead. There's a lot of ways to try, but I don't know.
I mean, come on, like, why would you?
The only reason
People clearly aren't reading the Bible, because even the Bible says that what comes out of us is no good. That's waste. What comes out of us is waste.
Yeah.
You don't put back in your body what comes out of it. If it comes out of your body, it's waste. It's a waste product.
And what did you say, Ray?
No, it's straight from Aleister Crowley's book. It tells you to, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
That's the only reason why I brought it up. I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's the thing. It's like
I digress.
I'm only going to do that if I'm dying in starvation and thirst. Maybe
the astronauts do it. The astronauts do it.
Well, they're all satanic too. So, all right. We got anything else? Are we good? We got a couple hours into this, so it's 9/11.
I had 10-11 here.
All right. Well, I think I've covered pretty much everything that I thought we
covered it all. I think we covered more than enough. I think we did good. I think we'll do this again next week, and I think we should keep it going, and we'll talk about it.
And other people will be coming on these shows too. I'll probably come in again, and other people. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see more people speaking God's truth.
Should we give one last shout out?
Their own truth, and there's only one.
We'll definitely be doing this on my channel starting next week too.
We have 62 people here right now.
Fantastic.
On a Sunday.
Love you
this
all.
Early. Okay,
Thank you all for being here. Because you know why?
We're on a mission from God.
Love it.
Yes, we are.
Well, that's all I've got. I'm going to say goodnight or good day.
And God bless.
Should
we say a prayer? Should we end with
Absolutely. A prayer? Who wants to do it? You want me to do it? You want to do it?
You go ahead, ceilingfanman.
What'd you say, Ray?
We want you to do it.
Oh, you both want me to do it. Oh, shit. All right.
It's powerful. Okay. It's powerful when you do it.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. Well, all I can say is this. Father, please watch over us. Guide us through these times. Thank you for this gathering and for everyone that we have until we actually get to be with you forever. Thank you, Father. Please continue to guide us through these times with your mercy, with your grace, with your truth, and with your love. Teach us and guide us through these times and help us to help others find your ways and to come home so we can all be together as brothers and sisters together in the love of God in his eternal grace forever and ever. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
That was beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
That's it. All right. I love you. Nice to talk to you, Jenny. It's great seeing you, Ray. Love you both.
Well,
thank you, everyone that's in here in the chat. And
we'll get our best people working on the intros, the outros, the music. Don't worry, we're gonna get it together. This is just the beginning.
All right.
It's the calm
So that-
before the storm. This is the calm before the storm.
Calm before the storm. All right. So everyone, we'll see you on our other channels. But
one more
yes.
thing. I'm Boston Ray, and that's my slice of the mud. Boom, baby!
Where's my guy? Here, I'll get you one. Here.
That's very true.
That one. Where's the other one? I don't even know. Where's the boom baby? Oh, whatever. It's in here. Boom baby there. Okay. So anyways, thank you all for being here. I love you all. And they'll see you next Sunday. Okay. Good night. Good
All
night.
right, later.